Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to a rather unexpected winners bracket finals. Not entirely unexpected, but certainly a bit. It is LGD International facing off against MUFC. You are watching, of course, the GEST Dota 2 Challenge. The two top finishing teams for the GEST Dota 2 tournament from Southeast Asia, Orange and MUFC, against two invited Chinese teams in LGD International and LGD China. Well, how they got here, LGD International crushed their way through Orange. On the other side of the bracket, we had MUFC, who actually I would say handled LGD China rather convincingly. So here we are in our winners bracket finals. The winner of this game is one series away from claiming $1,500 of prize money. I'm LD. I am joined here by my old friend, Luminous. How you doing, buddy? And he's muted, because... Yeah, there you go. Now you're unmuted.
I gotta wake up.
All right. So Lumi is actually not in the game, so I'll run down the bans of the picks for his benefit. Pretty standard bans for the most part. I want to point out the interesting thing, though. So MUFC, they've banned out Undying, Luna, Storm, and and the Syllabear. The interesting one for me is Luna, because LGD first picked this earlier. They really value this hero. They were running like a 5-man at the 8-minute mark push strategy. Pretty much both games. It worked quite well. On the other side, LGD International, so far they ban out Batrider, Mag, and Chen. Nothing too surprising there. The picks, LGD International sitting on a Darkseer, a Templar Assassin, and a Rubik. On the other side, MUFC with what's become a signature hero for them, the Nyx Assassin, along with Jakiro and Tinker. And before I let you talk, Lumi, last game they ran a solo mid Jakiro, and it actually worked, and it worked against LGD.
And I'm surprised you actually brought up solo mid Jakiro, because solo mid Jakiro is actually very, very surprisingly strong against Templar Assassin. Both of the spells actually cut through those refraction. And normally when you get a Templar Assassin, you assume that she's going to outlast it just about anybody. You assume she's going to out-deny just about everybody. One of the more underrated thing about Templar Assassin is that she could push lanes very easily. You're not going to do any of that against the Twin Head Dragon or Jakiro, because A, he is going to out-harass you with the Liquid Fire, with a Dual Breath. Most likely going to outpush you as well. If you have strong rune control, which may or may not happen thanks to support and checking runes and whatnot, you could actually dominate the lane with Templar Assassin. So good to see the teams that are trying new things out, trying new heroes out. And Templar Assassin is not as powerful as everybody might think she is. There's many counters. We know Batrider is a great one, and Twin Head Dragon or Jakiro is a fine counter in my opinion.
Yeah, one of the other great counters that MUFC has snagged is the Tinker, March of the Machine, as well as the Laser.
Sure, yeah.
You don't do any physical damage. It's super annoying to fight against. Over on the side of MUFC, they've picked up an anti-mage, and it looks like they're going to try and use the Tinker to stall this game and maybe set up some ganks. They've got a lot of chain stun. And they want to take this a little bit later. They've got Tinker, Anti-Mage, Nyx Assassin, and Jakiro, so some good counter-pushing heroes, some decent chain stun. But more importantly, it's this Tinker pick for me. It makes it hard for TA to fight and be aggressive in diving towers, at least on paper. And, of course, it creates space for that Anti-Mage. Last game, they ran it as a pure jungler. It was going to be their suicide laner, but the Ancients were warded, and they just chose to run it in the jungle right away. LGD, they've already got an aggressive lineup. Now they get even more aggressive. They pick up the Enchantress. This is a rather... I mean, they have some late game, but this is all about just dominating the lanes early and not letting MUFC get to that annoying mid-game split push.
And of course, I'm just hearing the draft, but seems like what it sounds is that Enchantress has to be X Factor, because against a team that's Tinker, that is Anti-Mage, that team could go very, very late, and that team is a little bit difficult to kill early on. With Tinker, you have access into a quick Force Staff, or you should, and that might prove things a little bit more difficult. And of course, these guys are not that good in terms of defending a push. Now, there is a Tinker with a early level March, but you could easily kind of ward him off by running past tower and whatnot. I feel like this Enchantress, either she's going to set up a lot of ganks or push down a couple of towers. And to be honest, the other team, there's very little they could do about that.
Well, they complete it with what looks to be a pajkatt Clinkz. So I'm really excited to talk about this. They're up against a Prophet and a Tinker. Prophet was the final choice from MUFC, and even Anti-Mage. This Clinkz could be a huge pick. I'm loving it on paper at least, but we are going to have a remake, Lumi, so this is your chance to actually be inside the game. So hopefully the password I gave you earlier should work.
Man, I'm already here.
Too good. So how you been, buddy? I miss you.
Been okay.
Okay.
Been writing papers.
Yeah.
Studying to be a math teacher, and then they make you write papers. Irony.
Well, for anyone who was watching on Dota TV and came on the stream to yell at me saying, we can't hear Lumi in the client, that's because he wasn't in the lobby. That's why we're remaking. So, yeah, this is a best out of 3. This is your winner bracket finals. So no matter what happens this game, we have at least one more coming. Boy, both matches were 2-0s. I would love to see this go 3 games. I really want to see more of LGD International.
Well, you say they've been doing very well. I wasn't convinced when I heard the roster being selected, but hey, it seems like hard work and hard practice has really, paid its mark. And let's see how they're gonna handle MUFC. MUFC has recently been on fire, right? They've been beating people that I didn't expect them to beat. I guess not being invited to TI3 really left its mark. Or actually TI2. What am I saying? It's so very early.
Well, I mean, they were invited, but didn't get to attend. We're not. That's a whole can of worms for another story for another day. But I should mention for MUFC, they replaced TFG and Nick, or Silvercross as he's also known. They replaced TFG and Nick with it was initially Ken and ohaiyo. ohaiyo's been really impressive. He's played a great Rubik. We've seen him as the solo mid Jakiro, and his Shadow Fiend was sensational in game number 1. But they're not playing with Ken. It seems either he's just not playing for them in this event, or maybe a roster change is afoot. But it's actually Freedom who's standing in. We saw him on a suicide lane on Dying. So, the roster has been shuffling around a bit. But this MUFC team. Obviously, most people tuning in are most excited about LGD International. That's the team they really want to see. I'm sure. But I gotta say, this MUFC team is. They're really dedicated. They've been practicing more than pretty much anyone else in Southeast Asia, and I won't be surprised if they take this event.
Yep. I mean, the result have been showing lately. I still cannot believe they're knocking out a lot of other top Chinese teams, as well as Malaysian and Singaporean teams. But we'll see how that goes for now. It looks like we have the players already picking their heroes. Let's introduce the heroes, players. Net is going to be playing the Nyx Assassin here, going on the long lane, and there's a lot of symbols on that Nature's Prophet. There's a couple of money symbols, so it fits completely over there. Sharky's going to be playing the Anti-Mage. We have Ling handling the Jakiro. Looks like it's not going to be going solo mid, although you can never tell. And then we have ohaiyo going the Tinker, old school solo mid.
Yeah, so they ran the jungle Tinker being played by Freedom last game, but this time around it's actually going to be ohaiyo soloing mid on it. It does show you kind of the versatility of this MUFC squad. They really swapped the roles around a lot, even to the point where Net is normally their hard support player, or their 4 or their 5, depending on the game, but he actually plays a Nyx for them from time to time, so they are quite a versatile team. Over on the other side, we have Brax. I guess sort of the least known player in LGD, but I think he's been one of the most impressive on the squad so far. He'll be playing that offlane Darkseer. Over mid, we've got godkillthemall, G, most famous, I think, for Storm in Dota 2, but he'll be playing a TA this time around. Misery on the Enchantress, 1437, with Boots first on the Rubik. This is a very aggressive smoke on Enchantress. They really want these early kills, and pajkatt soloing the safe lane is Clinkz.
Yeah, I really like the Boots first. It really allows them to walk into the telekinesis range, and that really sets up just about everything else. Most of the Enchantress creeps are going to be melee range, aside from that Dark Troll Warlord in terms of disable. So having that really first key disable is very, very important. And look at the lanes that they're ganking in. The Clinkz as well as Templar Assassin won't have early access into slows with disable. So that Boots is a lot more important than a lot of people might think. But to be honest, where they're going to gank Tinker is going to be somewhat protected because of the position that they're going to be coming in. That smoke has to do a lot of work as well. And let's see what kind of creep selection they have. They have a Furbog. You really want a Dark Troll Warlord, but you can't exactly take your pick in the jungle. So let's see if they're going to smoke up immediately and start to set up a gank. There's nobody up top. And a little bit of pulling starting to be happening in the mid lane. So Tinker is the only choice, and I'm not sure where to get it.
This is a bit cheeky. Mid-pulling Prophet, I don't know how much he can actually do to help this out, especially at level 1. We see some other heroes do the mid-pulls. I think most notably it's been Eternal Envy and a DreamHack as his support Rubik. Then you have Telekinesis to help your team out if someone gets ganked.
Look at this tactical toss as 1437 breaks out of Invis right under the tower range, and Tinker sees what's coming. He has already reacted accordingly.
I hate to break the news to you, but it was LGD with the pause, so not a very good tactic, I gotta say.
Yeah, man, just run in there with the initiation and then pause right when the Invis breaks out. So, well, I don't think that gank's gonna happen. You know, he's just outside of that telekinesis range right now, I think.
I think maybe just biting the bullet. It's also, look at where the creeps are. This lane was about to push. I mean, they just choose to go right when the creeps are up on the hill when Ohio's pretty safe. LGD International, they have been very aggressive this tournament. I mean, you look at their lineup, especially having, you know, G as one of your key players. I mean, even Misery, when we saw him playing, you know, that semi-carry role for CLG, playing the Storm. These are aggressive players by nature, but sometimes that can be your undoing. And in this case, it looks like Ohio is going to... This is a lot of wasted time for the Enchantress and the Rubik.
Well, I guess one thing that you can do with these two heroes, recover very easily. If the gang party doesn't work, you go back to jungle and farm it up. Excuse me. Or you could just transition into an easy push up top. I mean, Prophet really isn't going to do anything too much. I guess once Clinkz gets access to level 5, maybe even 6, he becomes a very potent pusher if you have enough levels into that strafe. But for now, they're going to just hang out and try to gank mid. And look at Tinker. Lol.
Apparently you're muted in game, Lumi. I don't know if you saw my message, but double check that your open mic is on. There is a Dota TV ticket, which... Maybe I forgot to tell you. By the way, guys, you should totally get this ticket because I think it's like $2 or $3. Not only do you get all the replays from this tournament, but you support Asian Dota, you support the organizers. More importantly, you get access to all of the GEST Dota 2 games. I think the most interesting series was the grand finals between Orange and MUFC. But yeah, Dota TV is available for this event. So, I mean, the failed gank mid... LGD, they got to make something happen. Not necessarily right this second, but over the course of like the first 15 to 20 minutes. If this game goes to that point, MUFC are in a good spot. It's just going to be death by split push. I don't really see what LGD can do about that.
One thing that I haven't really wrapped my head around is that this Nyx Assassin, I've seen it being picked up in WCG, I've seen it being picked up sparsely in these some of the East Asian games. How has that hero performed? What do you think about that hero overall?
Well, Net is really clutch on this hero. Like, last game, what was it? I think it was game number 1, I want to say.
What do you mean by clutch with a targeted stun?
Like, no, like he's hitting like 3-4 hero impales.
Oh, okay.
Like,
okay, good.
Like he's winning his team every fight with them. So if you get that off, then I mean, then the hero's pretty amazing. But you know, yeah, one hero impales are not going to break the game open. But he pretty much single-handedly won them a fight. Also, well, LGD China made a pretty crucial mistake. They were up against the Shadowblade Shadow Fiend and the Nyx Assassin. They didn't have sentries when they were pushing. It was punished. So that's something I'm really curious about: is how much is LGD International going to devote to those sentries? Because I mean, come the mid game, Net's been getting his levels. He hasn't fallen behind, even though he's supporting and helping out the other lanes. So let's see how much of an impact he can have.
I guess there's no way you could check whether I have in-game audio or not.
Do
but
you...
when I'm talking, the little mic symbol on the bottom right is happening. So I'm guessing I have audio.
Hopefully you do. If you don't, I'm sure someone will yell at me in Skype. So.
Well, as long as I'm not getting yelled at, it's okay.
I would never yell at you.
Exactly. So they can yell at you, and I'll be okay.
I guess the other thing... Oh, this is what I wanted to talk about before we hit the remake, is I love the Clinkz pick in this game. When you're up against Prophet, Tinker, and even Anti-Mage, I mean, he's probably not going to rush a Manta. We just don't see that build very often nowadays, and that makes the early Orchid super effective.
Yeah, I mean, Clinkz is actually one of the highest early game DPS heroes once you have access into that strafe. Oh, that telekinesis actually did hit, and where's the clap? The clap is right there as well, and MUFC in big trouble on the mid lane. Ohio will still survive, though, just on the last hit, barely gonna survive, and now looks G is gonna survive and salve up as well, but meanwhile, Rubik did win down as well, and Rubik and Enchantress. Wow.
They got 2, and they almost got G. He had like 10 HP. He salved up. You can see the Treant still chasing him. I think they may have canceled the salve halfway through. Well, is that worth it? You just spent time. You spent money on a smoke. You spent time. The opportunity cost of not farming. I mean, I gotta say.
They didn't even get the first blood. Tinker got the first blood.
Did he? Oh, he just. You're right. Wow, really not worth it for LGD.
Well, I mean. Now they're gonna be thinking about, they got about 5-6 seconds thinking about what the hell they just did, and to be honest, giving the Tinker first blood despite going down to a kill, yeah, he'll take that trade, especially with that 2 support. 2 supports now back in the jungle. Have they replenished their smoke? They have not, and of course there's nobody gank on the top lane. They just get a very decent stack on the level 1 camp, but You know, they gotta figure something out. I think pushing a tier 1 tower is at least what they should be doing.
Bottom lane, bottom lane. Brax is in a lot of trouble. Where's that ice path that's cooling down? Blinking forward to Sharky, tanking that tower. He's taking so much damage from the tower. Just enough, though, and Brax should fall. Barely. They had to use an extra impale to get the
Meanwhile, Ling, though, is gonna die to the range creep of all things. So it looks like we have a whole bunch of pauses and unpauses. I really like what Net did there. Instead of just walking, instead of just basically right-clicking in Darkseer and getting off that 1 or 2 physical hits, what he did is he basically walked right next to the Darkseer and waited for the cooldown of that impale. Early tower chases is very important to do that. You also don't want to really right-click an enemy hero under their tower if you don't have to do so. So that was the reason why they got the kill. And unfortunately, Twin Head Dragon, you know, bite the bullet. So it happens.
Apparently, people are saying I'm a little bit too loud. You're a little bit too quiet in Dota TV. So I'll turn my mic down a bit in Steam. Hopefully, that will equalize things. Guys, just let us know in 2 minutes if it's sorted out. If not, we'll continue to adjust it. But I think
my voice volume is maxed. So
are you in your Steam settings? If you right-click on
Yes.
Steam, go to Settings, Voice, Microphone Volume.
Steam's settings.
Well, while you're doing that, Sharky on the bottom lane. Looks like he's going to have the Ring of Health soon, and then this becomes a pretty easy lane for the Darkseer. Or it's a lane against the Darkseer. Normally the Iron Shell's annoying, but you can burn that away. The Ring of Health is picked up now, and he's got the Tangos. Ohaiyo with that early kill. This is looking... I gotta say, it's to me, there's so much pressure on pajkatt right now. Like, he's gotta have a huge impact come the mid-game.
Well, pajkatt, you know, he's free farming, so the command can free farm. So let's not forget that one. But to be honest, I guess Templar Assassin does do quite well, especially against Nature's Prophet and Twin Head Dragon. But the thing is, LGD seems like they want to push early.
Bottom lane, that gets caught out. What a time to show up for those supports. Now Prophet TP's in, didn't cancel this. Dual Breath on 3, that might be the ticket. Now the Sprout on Brax. Actually, they're just gonna retreat. They really need that Shakir or that Nyx assassin here. No, they don't, because they have the Imba Ice Path on 3. They kill off Misery, not able to get the heal off. Oh, now the Impale comes through, 1437 to fall. Look at the counter ganking, and now even the Sprout on the Chin Creep to secure the retreat. MUFC plays some very coordinated Dota right now.
Any other Twin Head Dragon would have lost in that fight. Every single Ice Path, multiple heroes being hit. You talked about that clutch stuns being hit on the Nyx assassin. That was some clutch Ice Path, and that was the only reason why they won that. To be honest, when there's 2 Iron Shell, multiple disables, you expect to lose fights like these, and man, this game is just not working out well.
It was fine in the first game. Ohaiyo says, screw it, time for a bathroom break. Oh boy. So, I mean, Ohaiyo with that first blood, he's got the bottle, no talisman, and boots, and 300 gold. So he's looking at really fast boots of travel unless they gank him. This is the nice thing about MUFC's lineup, is you've got to pressure the Tinker and the Anti-Mage, and you want to kind of keep the Prophet down in the jungle. But because they're not running an off-lane, they have like 4 heroes ready to fight wherever LGD look to get aggressive, and 2 of those are Jakiro and Nyx Assassins, so I feel like LGD is really pressing too much. And going back to what you said earlier, should just be maybe looking to push that tier 1 top or just farm. I mean, I feel like they're playing into MUFC's hands.
I guess what they think to themselves that they get the tier 1 for free anyways. No matter what's going to happen, they are going to get the tier 1. It's just a matter of time. And pressuring that Tinker early as well as on bot lane here. Brax, though, nice dodge here on the... Look at the body blocking from Net. He's going to run out of the Surge and the Mana Burn. Not going to be enough to bring him down. So a close exchange on the bot lane. But if you look at the CS score, Anti-Mage, though not exactly leading by a mile, is, you know, somewhat decently farmed. Tinker's doing fine in the mid lane as well. And, you know, what is the exchange that the enemy team's getting? They're getting a very farmed Clinkz. And the question is whether that Clinkz is going to be enough to out-carry 2 semi-carries. Looks like we have LGD starting to think about that tier 1 tower on the top lane. And it's going to be easy peasy. Lemon squeezy, as some might say.
Hey, that's my line, or maybe I stole it from you, but either way.
I heard Day9 say that a lot.
Oh, really? Yeah, I probably stole it from Day9 then. I mean, who hasn't stolen something from Day9? Let's be honest. But yeah, they're gonna transition back towards top. They're gonna look to push the tier 1, which I think this is really the right play. Ganking that middle lane, you just don't know if there's a...
Look at what Prophet's doing right now.
Wow, this is X Freedom, just being such a cheeky little bastard.
I don't think this will stop the tier 1 push, but this will definitely stop the tier 2 push, because when I saw the tier 1 push coming, I was like, you know what? They could go for the tier 2 as well, and that's a lot of gold down the drain. But look at Prophet. He's like, yeah, you know what? No problem. He even got a teleport scroll as well to make sure that he could get out on a moment's notice, because that level 1 teleport, not exactly the shortest cooldown things. So once he senses people are coming, he is going to just get the hell out. And that tier 2 is defended just by a single hero. That's some snazzy plays here.
I wonder what pajkatt's thinking about buying. Okay, I thought for a moment maybe he's thinking about a Hand of Midas because he's been sitting on a pile of gold forever. But he's going to rush the Orchid. In fact, might even skip boots to do so. On the bottom lane, Sharky is still not really farming great. Tinker is the lead farmer for this squad right now on the Radiant. And ohaiyo is getting very close to his boots of travel. Honestly, if it were me, I'd rather have the Tinker having a better start. Because once he gets the boots of travel, it just makes it so easy for the anti-mage. Constantly countering the pushes. G is chasing onto the lane. This should be a pretty easy kill, or maybe not, salving up right as the fog occurs at the high ground, and now turning this around with a dual breath. You talked about the dual breath as a refraction counter. It's doing great work now. G out of mana and is going to be surged away to safety, but oh my, maybe not. There's a mana void, not using it. I think it would have been enough there. Oh, that definitely would have been a kill. Maybe got fogged. Ugh.
Man, Sharky being very active as an anti-mage, you don't generally expect that, and he could actually do this simply because Tinker's farming very well, and he's really playing just catch-up at this point, already have Rune of Health, most likely going to go for the standard battle fury, but in this particular game, they are just trying to survive, so picking up early HP is probably a little bit preferred. At this point, though, they're sitting very pretty. The 2 traps on the high ground, though, will give them some killing temp against this Tinker on the mid lane, but they really need more than Templar Assassin. They probably need another hero at the very least, and Enchantress most likely is going to do it. But at this point, right after, I guess, the first initial laning stage, I gotta put the Radiant team miles and miles ahead. They got first blood, they got a little bit better farm, and despite the tower being pushed down, they're only down about roughly 1,000 gold. They're okay, I think.
Right, and I mean, for me, the key is that ohaiyo is fat. He's already level 8. He's got max March of the Machines. You've got a Clinkz and an Enchantress. You want to push early towers, and you want to apply a lot of early pressure. Prophet and Tinker with Boots of Travel are 2 heroes that make it it's very dangerous to be aggressive. And if you overextend, Anti-Mage is going to chase you down. All those other heroes can. The one concern for me is that MUFC supports are under-leveled. We only see level 4 on Jakiro, we're 8 minutes in, level 3 on the Nyx Assassin. And those 2 are their team fight. They need that and March the Machines. They need those AoE stuns up, so I think that as soon as they have the Boots of Travel on the Tinker, they got to start getting levels on these supports. But yeah, aside from that, I'm with you. I think they're having a great laning stage, and I feel the onus right now is firmly in LGDint's corner to make something happen.
Well, it really comes down to pajkatt, how well he's going to play. That early Orchids is going to be so vital. If you actually silence that Nyx, and or you silence the Twin Head, what the hell is the Radiant team going to do in terms of team fight? They're lacking in terms of disables. Their carries don't have much of it, and pajkatt could easily pick off these low HP heroes literally by himself. Walk up, silence, strafe, and it's a free 200 gold, free 300 gold. He's a great pusher in the early game as well. So my X factor for this game is pajkatt, because if you look at the rest of the squad, they are not capable of out-carrying an anti-mage. They're not capable of out-carrying a Tinker in that sense. Also, keep in mind that anti-mage is not going to have that quick access into Mantis style to debuff that silence, so even anti-mage could be ganked. So pajkatt, once he finishes Orchid, my eyes is on him. What is he going to do? Where is he going to go? He can't really sit in the lane and keep on farming.
Right, nor does he want to. I mean, even if you're not finding... Let's say you get 1 or 2 kills, and then MUFC, they play safe, they stick together, they don't get... Oh! Brax gets assassinated. That's a nice little kill. A lot of experience for lane. Now he hits 5 off of that. And that's what they need. Either just doing a lot of pulling and stacking, farming that way, or just finding those kills on heroes like the solo Darks here, or maybe, you know, probably not the Clinkz, but maybe if you get really lucky. But yeah, I mean, I think they're in a pretty good position if the Clinkz can find some openings, because when he has that Orchid, let's say he gets 1 or 2 kills, suddenly, you know, MUFC are sticking together. Even if you're not killing, you're preventing them from farming, and they are a team that needs to farm a lot. They want to spread out, they want to push all over the map, and Clinkz, the threat of him showing up can really discourage that.
Clinkz just 200 go away from that Orchid right now, and looks like there is somebody trying to defend this. This is ohaiyo. Could be somewhat careful. There's no way to cancel their TP if he decides to TP out. Just playing it very safe in the jungle, just marching away. Unfortunately, that march not going to hit too much. And the question is, again, once that Orchid is finished, where's he going to go? You see Enchantress still jungling up. Everybody's trying to get their early game item, and this really just favors the Radiant team. They're the lineup that goes a little bit later. They need more EXP. And lack of action is exactly what they want.
Right, and Enchantress has backed off, started to farm up. She's level 6, so after the early gank attempts didn't work out too great, 1437 sits a bit under-leveled as well. He's only 4. The March just constantly relieving some of the pressure on these lanes and slowing down the push. Ohaiyo has just been active all over the map. His CS is falling off a bit. Pajkatt is by far our lead farmer. But the question is, what can he turn it into? Because he can't just sit all game on an island and farm. The Orchid is ready. He rushed it naked. He'll probably get his boots momentarily, and then you go. You just start ganking. The one thing they're really lacking for me is the Blink Dagger on G. I feel like these two want to be a dynamic duo. Blinking and Orchiding, that's not a verb, but we'll roll with it. And just, you know, working together to find those kills. But until the Blink's up, it's going to be really all up to Clinkz.
Yeah, and with the Breach Travel up on the Tinker, that's why that G hasn't actually seen creeps for a long time. He's going into withdrawal right now because that Marcher Machine is really preventing him to going in lane. But after that Orchid's finished here, Pajkatt started to be a little bit more active in the laning stage, or on the open map. So he could start get a couple kills. You can see that immediate death pack after Orchid's picked up, and he is, you know, on the hunt. He sees Tinker.
Oh, Ohaiyo knows to be careful. Where's that silence? There you go.
Easy stuff. And here we go. Is Ohaiyo's going to survive? Not a chance in hell. And that's exactly what we mean. If you get those kills rolling, this is a very dangerous early game semi-carry. And suddenly, he's pressuring your tower. You got to now send a couple of heroes up top. And suddenly, all the other lanes are a lot easier to gank. You don't know where his Pajkatt is. If he picks up the teleport throw, could be dangerous. Meanwhile, Anti-Mage picks up that kill on the bot lane. Looks like they're going for a little bit more. Vacuum to destroy the trees. Nicely played here by Brax. But the Treants are coming for a little bit of body blocking. Meanwhile, you can see that Pajkatt going on the mid lane as well. He is the X Factor. He has to play like a champ. And he sees, Net.
Oh,
Net
no.
is in so much trouble right now. There's a silence. Nice! Quick fingers into his Spike Carapace, and will survive in doing so.
That's really one of the beauties of the support Nyx Assassin, is he's so much harder to gank than other heroes that have an AoE stun, that, you know, have that initiation power of Vendetta, and, well, he gets away with a great timing there, as well as some nice juking around the trees. However, he's just used up his Spike Carapace, and this might be the moment that Pajkatt was waiting for. You can see 1 point in strafe. Skeleton Walk just so good to max. The move speed is insane. Even if you're not ganking, even if you're just moving from camp to camp farming, it really makes you more efficient all around the map. He'll go back for that later on. Level 2 Death Pact is coming soon. Like you said, always having a creep Death Pacted. And as soon as he gets one, he starts to apply pressure, not just sitting back and farming bottom lane. They want to go on to 1437, but this looks a little bit dangerous. In fact, no, they're going to find the Nyx Assassin. Once again, chasing him down. Well, they will kill him.
Wow. Double damage plus melt turns out to be very strong. You talk about G needing that Blink Dagger. Look at his goal right now. We'll hit 2150 very soon. And look at how well Pajkatt's doing. He is just constantly on the move, finding everybody, getting kills. He's looking to get this tier 1 tower on the mid lane. Tinker is just too afraid of TP and even later. There is a nice glyph here, and Pajkatt taking a lot of damage. He's probably going to go back to the base right now, although with the Orchid regen, you're, again, getting a lot of HP. Oh, getting a lot of mana. Ohaiyo, it's going to be okay, but meanwhile, G not going to be okay as he's walking through that march. Going to finally die. Where is the Clinkz? Clinkz said, Clinkz just bailed. I guess CC, I'm going to go back to base.
He says, screw it, man. Get me out of here. I was hoping for G to, like, pull a Matrix move there and just dodge in between the machines, which you can do, but is, of course, extremely difficult. Now the Ice Path on Misery. He does not have the heal. It's on cooldown for 27 seconds, but he'll get away. Goes for the point booster. Enchantress can be kind of scary in the mid game once she gets that Ags up, especially because you're not going to focus her. You've got to focus the Clinkz of the TA, which creates some opportunities for her. So, kind of a triple semi-carry, a bit unorthodox with the heroes, perhaps, but LGD.int, I mean, with Pajkatt fighting those kills, sure, he bailed out mid. It didn't go beautifully, but
Clinkz on the move on the bot lane. Silence against Anti-Mage. Look at the damage output. The silence should do it. No! So close. Clutch magic wand here from the Anti-Mage. I think he had a very full wand. Meanwhile, Pajkatt really doing a lot of work. Again, not getting these kills, at least not in that particular junction, but force a TP from Twin Head, force a TP from the Nature's Prophet, and Anti-Mage really can't farm. Notice how he teleported to tier 2 instead of the tier 1 tower because, well, you never know if there's a war rune in front of tier 1. You don't want your ganks to really fail like these.
Oh, G's in some trouble top lane. They have Dust. He can't just go inside meld. He's dropping low, but he's got Refraction in one. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Now he wants to turn this one around, but the Spike Carapace will stun him and discourage any further aggression. I gotta say, going back to pajkatt, he's really reminding me of Funnick. I mean, just so efficient around the map, getting that really fast Orchid, just rushing it, then going back for the boots, and then immediately goes to work finding kills, but then goes back to farming. It's not just constantly ganking, it's not just farming, it's just sort of like the perfect blend of both, where it makes your opponents unsure of what you're doing. You're not falling behind, but they're always worried about you.
Yeah, and if you're the support, you can't actually drop sentry wards all over the place because you just don't have to go do that. Now he finds Prophet in the jungle, and this Nature's Prophet is going to get silenced up strafe, and, well, pajkatt taking his time. There we go, but the immediate mech, and this is not working out for pajkatt. It's actually sweet for him to do this after, once in a while, but when you're failing ganks like this back and forth, you're suddenly falling a lot behind in terms of, go intake and whatnot. He's still leading in terms of net worth, but Tinker as well as Anti-Mage is going to catch up. Good thing by the Radiant, they're staying alive despite splitting up in farm. We expected a pajkatt's going to force the enemy team to kind of huddle up and not get as much gold intake. But it seems like the strong early game has allowed them to pick up items to survive that initial barrage, and basically it's wasting a lot of pajkatt's time.
Well, crucially, Ohio's almost got, probably, it could be a Force Theft, but I'm thinking of Ghost Scepter, man. Ghost Scepter is such a hard counter to Clinkz. Makes him so useless. Try to focus here now. Now they go into Brax bottom lane. He's taking a lot of damage. The Ice Path will catch him. No, what a perfect chain stun. That was a thing of beauty to see. And they pick up the
just on the tip, as they say, teleport in from the Nature's Prophet as well, showing off what that hero could have been doing. Nature's Prophet not getting enough love nowadays, at least not compared to before, but still showing off what the hero can do. A tier 1 push coming in from MUFC. And if MUFC is pushing your tier 1 towers, you know you're in trouble because...
Sharky! Oh no, no, Sharky, no! Just got his Battle Fury, I think. Oh no, he didn't buy the Claymore, he was so close. Must have been like 100 gold away. That really slows him down.
Yeah, but he's gonna have it right now with his tier 2, a tier 1 push. But just kidding though, massive teleport coming on the bot lane here. Misery leading a charge, really need to throw off enchant. Spike Carapace will get the stun off and should be fine as net. Yeah, good retreat here, but they did get the anti-mage kill, and that's huge. And of course, Blink Dagger has been up on G for a long time, and looks like they're going to use that to transition into a push. Now, Templar Assassin not exactly the best tower pusher because again, you really want to be isolated in the jungle. Brax taking a ton of damage. Gotta just run out. Stray rockets could just find you. Meanwhile, Tanker gets a kill with March on the top lane. Very nicely done.
Yeah, only a support Rubik, but every little bit helps, because once you get those kills, it means one less hero that's going around the map, placing wards for the Clinkz, just generally applying pressure. You could be a little more confident about your farming. MUFC, the anti-mage is going to struggle this game. I mean, obviously, he's already been picked off once. He's been under a lot of pressure. The Battle Fury is not a solution to his problems. You gotta farm... I mean, I almost want to say you just have to rush a BKB, because a Manta style is a lot to farm. Unless we see the other heroes really making a big impact. But whatever he goes for, I mean, he's far away from being able to do something. This is the beauty of Clinkz, is you get that one item, the Orchid, and you just start killing everyone, and you make them camp at their towers, which means you're not farming. Cleave doesn't do you any good if you're sitting at your tower.
Or at least try to kill everyone. Clinkz walking around here, finds Sharky on the mid lane here. Sharky, of course, closest tower, and will receive a lot of TP, I imagine. These Iron Shells are actually wearing down his HP, and perhaps, yeah, we are going to see 2 or 3 heroes transitioning. All they do need is a single telekinesis. There's a surge forward by 1437. You use that time to actually steal, so a little bit of miscommunication. All you had to do was walk in, pick him up, and that would have been an anti-mage. So a little bit of mis-skanking opportunity. Meanwhile, on the top lane here, Tinker, they are so elusive in their farming. Anti-mage is easy to blink away. Same thing here with Tinker as he picked up the blink. It's not Force, it's not Ghost Scepter. He's going to just rely on his reaction, and, well, I don't follow him. When you have quick fingers like him, it's fine.
Well, I guess it's the better pure split pushing item, because he's not going to sit and lane an auto attack, right? He's going to TP in immediately. He's going to shift Q the Blink Dagger, blink into the trees, and then spam March, maybe cast it twice, and then TP out. So in that sense, Blink is better, but if you get caught, you're screwed. So this is all about just stalling the game for Ohio, and in that sense, it's a great item. Prophet still getting his farm on. I mean, honestly, this is going to have to be a team effort. It's weird when you see it was more... An anti-mage who didn't really last hit that well in lane was under pressure from the Darkseer, but in a sense, he was free farm. It's not like they were putting a whole lot of pressure on him early on, but Sharky, it's not on his shoulders. Like, he's just not going to be able to carry this game, at least not... Maybe around that 35, 40-minute mark, but... LGD are using this opportunity. The threat of ganks keeps MUFC back. They're going to steal Roche.
Yep, finally they're gonna steal Rose. MUFC Net's gonna walk right in terms of Sentry Ward. He thinks they're not prepared. Oh, big mistake. But he's gonna walk in and do a whole bunch of damage before going down the Rockets. Not gonna find Clinkz. pajkatt thanking his lucky starts for that one. I was wondering what's taking them so long to actually go into the Roshan. They have complete map control. They're the team. LGD.int is going around to get these kills. They're pushing and whatnot. And they definitely have enough damage output to really take down Roshan. To be honest, I think it should have been a 15-minute Rosh, maybe even a 13-minute Rosh. As soon as that orchid was finished, they could have easily taken that one. Finally, using that advantage, they're keeping all their towers up, and they're still, leading in terms of gold chart. But how much is this advantage going to take them? Let's quickly check on the items here. You can see that Enchantress is trying to get them the secondary DPS that the team desperately needs. And LGD 1437 just picking up support items. You can see G is going straight for damage item as well. I do believe that's his Desolator. If he's going for BKB, that's generally not the most common order in doing so. There's a Crystallis being picked up here on Clinkz, trying to even extend more damage. And you can see Brax just really poor. Had a tough lane on the bot. Starting to work on his mech, but not
actually just got it.
Just got it, okay.
So, yeah, I mean, had a tough start, but that Stark's here for you. Net's in a lot of trouble, but, oh, it's going to be able to go invis. Now the turnaround comes. The heal bomb from Prophet to keep him alive. And then, well, that was kind of anticlimactic. Honestly, pajkatt can probably 1v2 them, no problem. Even without a death pack, but certainly with one. Look at the tax that this Clinkz puts on the enemy supports, though. It's just sentry wards forced to be placed in the lanes, and either you're buying those sentry wards or you're just sitting at towers. Either way, you're not doing a whole lot. Top lane or bottom lane. And they want to go on Brax. Are they going to be able to pull him? No. Vacuum in on 2. Now Sharky blinks forward. Nice Mono Void, but not enough damage. And more. Well, the nice thing is there's not that many wasted opportunities for MUFC. Sure, the gank failed. That's okay. Prophet Tinker just going to go right back to farming.
Yep, and they are mobile enough to really just go from lane to lane. You can see that right now. pajkatt, again, waiting for support, just run between towers and just pick him off. pajkatt is really the assassin. He's playing this hero as is meant to be played. Oh, they seen him. He walked away. The invis ran out. He quickly went back. It was just 0.5 seconds, but these guys, their eyes are glued to the minimap, and pajkatt... Well, now going back to Jungle.
Now ohaiyo's got that Ghost Scepter. This is one hero that he can't kill right now. Unless he just gets some insane burst and ohaiyo's reactions aren't quick enough. pajkatt can't find easy kills on the Tinker anyway, and we might see one come out soon for the Prophet. Now, you can get all the Ghost Scepters you want, but you still have to be able to fight to some extent, or you're going to be in trouble bottom lane. They want to go on to Sharky. Blinking forward is 1437, now throwing him just straight up in the air. Now, pajkatt comes in, but they're focusing him. They're bringing him down quickly. Will it be enough? No, he's still alive. Are you... What? How is he still alive? He's so damn tanky with that death pack. Oh, man. An agility range carry walking around that much health. Just insane to see. They find a third kill on Nyx Assassin. And that even looked like a decent fight for MUFC. They got the huge surround on the Clinkz and just couldn't bring him down.
Huge mech usage from the Darkseer. Of course, the instant pop of the HP, and then the armor. Pretty big thing against a team that has a lot of physical right click. So, and a lot of Clinkz that we would have played was just hit back, run to the fountain. He just stood his ground, got a couple of kills. So it just shows you if you just trust in your teammates to actually support you like that. That Crystallis was doing some big work. Tier 1 tower has gone down. Tier 2 tower is going to take some big damage. That was exactly what they need to split this map open a little bit more. As you knock down those the exterior towers, it makes Clinkz's job a lot easier. As again, they can't really go farther away from the tower. They're getting less and less TP ganks. And if they huddle up, again, you're doing your job. They're not getting the XP. They're not getting gold. So Clinkz, I was a little bit doubtful whether Clinkz could actually do this, but he's doing it right now in the highest level of play.
Well, to be fair, it was an entirely abandoned lane. They didn't even run anyone there. Prophet just sat in his own jungle. This is something we've seen teams do against Empire, against Funnick, is just either put a 1v1 against him or just let him farm. And usually it's punished pretty severely. How teams have generally been successful is just being aggressive against it, running aggressive tri-lanes, just running a 1v1 matchup where a hero like Lone Druid, where he can handle Clinkz in the lane, especially with some sentry wards, can maybe even find early kills. And well, they chose to go for more of a split push, mid-game, stall it out kind of lineup. They still have. They're not out of this game. I don't know how Anti-Mage is going to find the farm. He can't get to the creeps. Like, he goes to the creeps, he's getting ganked by Clinkz.
Well, I mean, the entire carry burden is not just on his shoulder. Tinker is doing a lot of that right now. But again, The items that he's getting right now are just pure survivable items, which is fine because Marching Machine is still a very, very imposing force, even at this stage of the game. He's got to work towards a hex or something, though. You can't really just, go for, oh, that cute, Force Staff and that cute Mule Scepter. You can't go for cute items anymore. It just have to be straight sacrifice. I love the war being dropped here by 1437. A lot of Tinker, who's having a little bit of, trouble getting farm, which he's not doing so right now. He's doing great in terms of farming. You actually support that.
Speaking of trouble, Sharky's in a lot of trouble. Lumi, he's tired of farming his own jungle because pajkatt's always there. So he goes to farm the enemy jungle, and pajkatt's there along with the rest of his team. This is just not fun. And now pajkatt's almost got a dataless. Oh.
The sad experience of playing with a Tinker as well as a Nature's Prophet. You don't actually see creeps. You see creeps dying on the minimap, but they're not dying next to you.
What is a creep? Do tell.
What is a creep? That's a philosophical question for anti-mage, man.
And now the Desolator up on TA, so even more burst damage. Here comes the wraparound towards mid. Ohaiyo with those quick fingers. He's slowly working towards the Hex. He went for all these other items, and I feel they were all necessary, both the Ghost Scepter and the Blink, but he's not too far off. Top lane, they want to make a go onto Misery. Not really a core hero, but hey, they'll take a kill anywhere they can get it, and, well, they can certainly get that one.
Meanwhile, looks like the tier 2 tower is going to be attempted on the bot lane here. I think that they're going to get it for free, unless Tinker gets position. No, he's a little bit too late to the party, and so this tier 2 is going to be destroyed. This tier 2 means so much for any future Roshan challenges. Roshan, by the way, back about 5 minutes or so, I want to say there's a big glyph, although no teleport, so this was just more or less to delay the push. And now they're back to their whatever LG wants to do.
Really? Gee, almost. If he had melded there, I think he would have brought the Prophet down to like a fifth of his HP even, maybe, but... Well, they're gonna trade a tier 1 for a tier 2. It's not ideal, but I don't really think they can fight.
Can they get this tier 1? I'm not sure.
Oh, no.
Like everybody's teleporting in. pajkatt is not gonna find anybody. Oh, Blink Dagger coming in from 1437 as well. No, sorry, Anti-Mage Blinks coming in from 1437. Which, by the way, that Blinks has been doing a lot of work, linking in telekinesis and killing Anti-Mage.
Right, and it's just that instant reliable disable. Then and of course it comes out of nowhere with the blink, and then you just follow up with the Orchid, and well, he's trying to build a Yasha. I mean, he may get this Yasha soon, but we're still looking. Even by the time he gets a Manta style, the Clinkz is gonna have a Daedalus. The Clinkz might be, well, in fact, I think has the Daedalus now. Yeah, recipe on the courier. TA's doing a lot of damage. Your illusions might just die instantly to some splash from side blades. I don't think Sharky's gonna be able to do anything. Sure, he's not the carry, but he feels like dead weight to me, and I don't know that that's gonna change unless LGD makes a big mistake.
I'm gonna agree with you here. I think hindsight's 2020, but it should have been a Vanguard Vlad's Manta style build. Imagine how little time how many times less he's gonna die. Battle Fury by far, de facto, is the best build on Anti-Mage because it gives you so much farm. But when you're playing against a Tinker that's constantly pushing the creep wave, when you can't play a Nature's Prophet that's constantly pushing the creep wave, and when there's jungles nowhere to farm, you just want the raw HP. You can see that MUFC, Ohio's working on this tower. Will blink out right now, but is he blinking into a whole bunch of enemies? Oh, yeah. Good as Ninja escapes here from all these guys, and free tier 1 tower being picked up.
And of course, you can use Ghost Scepter and then Boots of Travel out. You cannot TP scroll away. So that is a very cheeky mechanic that he is taking full advantage of. There's not that many ways to cancel a TP on the side of LGD. All they have is whatever, Rubik Scott and Vacuum. For now. So it does allow Tinker to have some effect. Sharky now everywhere he goes, he's either got support or he's dying. And I guess it's something. Bottom lane, they will steal. Oh, they steal Blink again. 1437 jumps forward. There's a gem on lane. They cannot afford to give this gem up, and they won't. Ice Path barely catches pajkatt. It's now LGD giving their own, dose of split push to MUFC. Just being so far ahead, they can play this aggressively.
Yeah, they gotta keep on playing aggressively, though. They cannot let up a single moment of pressure against Elmiwanda up top lane here. They need that Sprout Misery in big trouble. Not exactly the best stacking of the Chain Stun, but they'll do. I do believe one more Rocket's gonna do. Where's the Rocket? No Rocket necessary. Nature's Prophet with the Orchid gonna finish up there. And what do you think about this Orchid? I was gonna be for sure it's gonna be a Force Staff or at least a Scythe of Ice, but taking a piss stop with the silence.
It seems the game plan is, we just need something now to put pressure back on LGD, because when they're dead, they're not pressuring us. So from that sense, it makes sense. At the same time, though, this is an item that once Clinkz gets a BKB is useless. Once TA gets a BKB is useless. You know, you get a little bit of damage, you get some mana regen. That's not something Prophet really cares about. So I understand the thought process. I'm just, it's got to work out really well. Like, it's not enough to get a kill here or there. They got to get a lot of kills with this.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a good target on the enemy side to actually silence. I mean, Darkseer is a great silence target.
That's true.
Simply Enchantress, that'll be fine with Rubik. That's a big steal if you can actually get him. But you're right, the targets that you do want to silence, you know, it's not going to be as effective. Speaking of Black King Bar on Clinkz, we haven't seen one just yet. He's just going full glass cannon. And to be honest, when nobody's hitting you, when you are the hunter, this is a great build. He's sitting at 2,000 HP with the Death Pack, and he's doing insane down chat lane, though. Yep,
they find another. LGD getting a little bit sloppy here. This is, I think this is what makes MUFC a very scary team, is they don't really get too rattled when they're behind. They're very patient. They seem to have a very good, like, overall team, especially today. They've been, I mean, even more so than in G1, where they played pretty well as a team, but they're good at finding these opportunities. You can't get lazy against them. You can't get sloppy. We've seen Misery get picked off twice. Now it's an even more important hero in the TA. And remember, it's not just about the kills. It's about the fact that you don't have to worry about that TA for 30 seconds. And without the TA, LGD's probably not going to be as aggressive. So, I mean, now they found a couple of kills with the Orchid. It's starting, you know, it doesn't pay for itself directly. It's more just what it creates for the rest of the team, where it's starting to have an impact. Anti-Mage, he's getting closer to a Manta. It's a very late Manta, but hey, it's a Manta.
Yeah, notice how they're not directly translating into a push. You're like, yeah, you know what? We don't mind playing this style of game. Sure, you have the immediate advantage right now. We are going to start to be worried about Roshan, though. Roshan not going to get scouted. They're going to give it away to LGD again, which doesn't matter too much. I love the thing you pointed out. If you get kills against a ganking team, you're not going to get ganked. If you look on paper, when there's a Clinkz against a Templar Assassin, you expect run team to play ultra defensive, to ward up like crazy, and then just try to farm their way back in the game. And MUFC just breaks that equation. Wildman says, we gank you. And we'll see how things go. And to be honest, it's working perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a bad position for them. LGD is out farming them by quite a bit. MUFC, they still don't have those Slice of Ice up, although Ohaiyo is getting close. And that, that's pretty big, because with the Scythe of Ice and the Orchid, I mean, the one thing the Orchid, which we didn't really talk about, does give you amplified damage. That'll help them find these kills with those two working together. So actually, I mean, because the Scythe of Ice is coming soon, and because there's no BKB on Clinkz, there's no BKB on TA, I feel it's extremely precarious for LGD, although they're quite far ahead. In fact,
pajkatt gets caught in the middle lane here. Two Invits here, both carrying Gem, and pajkatt trying to run his way out. He uses Aegis immediately. Where's the support coming right now? Marching Machine doing so much damage. Now the focus goes on Sharky. Sharky loses so much HP. Sharky's dead, and Clinkz is on the run. Clinkz is going to die to the Orchid charge. Orchid doing some work there, and now Nature's Prophet's on the run, and that exchange hugely favored the Radiant squad as they traded an Anti-Mage for a Clinkz and Aegis Immortal as well as a Rubik. They will still sit and farm. That's got to be frustrating for LGD, because they just can't do anything.
Well, he obviously wants a BKB now. He did buy the Mithril Hammer, I think, right before he died, or nearly around that time. Prophet, again, every time they find these kills, like you said, they're not getting towers, although they might start to now with Ohaiyo, having the completed Scythe device, but Prophet's working on his own Scythe device. The Ultimate Orb or the Mystic Staff, not that far off. He's got the Midas coming off cooldown. That was almost a huge save. Brax was so close to getting Clinkz away. He mech'd him, he surged him, and right as the Clinkz was about to escape, he just got picked off at the last moment. Bottom lane, though, they go on to Prophet, and with a double damager, and G will find the kill. Prophet barely unable to escape. I don't think you want to fight this one, Sharky. In fact, he will think better of it, but G also... Oh, this is so classic G. Diving that base. And putting some pressure on where the Clinkz can't, because, well, he just respawned. So he's back in business. This is such an interesting game. I mean, really, both teams, they have a clear style. They need a clear gameplay they need to execute to win, and they're really butting heads trying to see who's going to come out on top.
Yeah, for any LGD international fans out there, I just want to point out that 7,500 gold lead on the gold chart is very deceptive, because a lot of that gold is within those towers, and there's ample opportunity for the Radiant team to actually knock down a couple towers. They're just electing not to do so. And to be honest, if they win one more team fight, they're going to start up catching up in the gold chart by huge leaps. So, LGD's not as ahead as the gold chart suggests, and they gotta be very careful. I do believe Radiant team is about 1 or 2 gank away. Oh, but meanwhile, the Sharky again having big trouble. It just makes me barely alive, and they decide to not chase. Wow. Playing a little bit defensive, and the blink into a Scythe of Vice with the Gold Scepter up. This guy is invulnerable. BKB gets popped here, and Nature's Prophet in a huge world trouble. He pops his own Gold Scepter. It's going to try to TP out. Unfortunately, that doesn't work, as, yes. Oh, but here comes Net as well. Deers gets a one-man impale, and they're going to get a kill.
And they're not done. I don't know if they're done yet. Ohaiyo. Oh no, he's gonna boots to travel home. I thought he might blink forward, go for another rearmed Scythe of Ice. Wow, this, like you said, he's invulnerable. How did they kill him? They don't have magic damage. They can telekinesis him. Sure, they can Fade Bolt him. I guess you can steal a couple of nukes, but he's just a mobile hex station that can't be killed. I feel like I'm watching some sort of diabolical machine that has been created specifically to kill Clinkz and TA, or at least make them very sad. This is Ohaiyo. I mean, he's showing some serious versatility today. He played the solo mid Jakiro. He played an amazing safe lane Shadow Fiend, went for an early Shadow Blade, just crushed the game, had some great hero control, great raises. Now we're seeing his Tinker. He has been all over the place with the heroes and high impact on every single one. And if MUFC go on to win this game, I gotta say, his Tinker, for me, it's the reason why.
To be fair, that was a two-man engagement from the Dire team right in deep in enemy jungle without any support, stuns, slows, or disables.
Right.
So they really went, headstrong into that engagement. But hey, I don't want to take anything away from that Tinker. Played perfectly, was not afraid. Prophet, though, was a little bit too aggressive. Prophet probably should have hang back. You talked about the Scythe of Ice for him to pick up. I actually like the fact that he is picking up a Ghost Scepter as well. Just the fact that he survived, and that's going to be even very, very key against Misery, as he is, starting to deal insane damage with the Impetus. Going to hit level 16 very, very soon. It's going to be putting out a lot of pressure up to Brax as well as 1437 to get some magical disables in crowd control. There's few and far in between, and the number of disables they have, and those disables they literally have to hit like 3 or 4 because. You are the team fight, you are the stuns, and if you don't lock him down enough, there's no way that pajkatt, as well as G, is going to do enough damage to the entire team. I
mean, I almost want to say Anti-Mage should get a Ghost Scepter after his Manta Stylist.
Why not? I mean, hey, transition into that shotgun Anti-Mage build.
Because your illusions are going to die real fast. I mean, I'm kidding to some extent, of course, but really, Ghost Scepter, it's not even about like just the fact that you're surviving. It's they waste time trying to kill you, then you Ghost Scepter. Now that's time they could have been spending killing your team. So it's like LGD is all about single target focus, aside from the Darkseer, who just hasn't. Brax had a really nice wall earlier. He's done a great job of helping to keep his team alive, but it's just like you set up a great vacuum wall, and then everyone Ghost Scepters, hexes you, impales. Like on paper, MUFC do have the items and the heroes to kind of dodge the bullets coming their way from LGD and then turn the fights around. That being said, there is a BKB up on TA. Clinkz's BKB has been delayed yet again. Enchantress is going for one, but she's a bit of a ways away. I mean, the mass BKBs, it's going to help. At least they won't get hexed, but it doesn't help you against the Ghost Scepter. So I feel like it really comes down to mistakes. If MUFC don't make any, I think they're actually in a great position. If LGD can exploit their mistakes or force them, then it's going to be LGD who are looking to take those tier 2s and really control this game.
Yeah, I mean, the only mistakes I really see LGD, or excuse me, on the Radiant side, MUFC that they're making, as we're talking about mistakes, is Sharky getting picked off. But if his score is actually not like abysmal, it's 3, 4, and 3, so he's doing all right, and he's drawing a lot of attention to him. And normally when you see an anti-mage with a score like this, you kind of cringe. But again, he's not really. I feel like he's just a bait in this kind of team. Tinker is doing beautifully. Nature's Prophet is doing it beautifully. And this game is going to get worse and worse as there's 3 semi-carries now that are very capable of pushing, killing heroes and whatnot. And one thing that really need to kind of point out once again is that the Radiant team very, very mobile all over the map in terms of if you win a team fight right next to a tower, they could knock down tier 2 up on the top lane. Like this is the lineup that could do it very easily. And once you knock down those early towers, I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but once you do knock down those early towers, that Roshan.
Oh.
It's theirs.
Wisely, Ohaiyo will cancel that TP. I mean, even with the Ghost Scepter, Blink Dagger, Scythe of Ice. I mean, even with all these tools, I think it's better to play it a little bit safer. LGD suddenly not so aggressive anymore. Pajkatt is dead, sure, but they're not even farming across the river anymore. They are very nervous, and it's like the exact opposite of we saw Clinkz's timing window, which started really early at the 10-minute mark when he got that Orchid, where everybody's afraid. Now it's LGD who have to be a little bit careful. Even when they push mid, it's with a... oh, they're going to go into Brax here. Here comes the Scythe device, now the Impale, and look at the burst damage. Brax should be brought down immediately. Assassinate. Ohaiyo blinking forward, has one more Hex. BKB is out. He hexes Misery, then he blinks away. What great hero control from Ohaiyo. They get the kill, they force a Darkseer buyback, then they back off. And
they force a BKB charge as well.
Oh, yeah. And what's to stop them from doing this aside from, like, just a misclick or a mistake? They can just force LGD to stick together, and if they don't, they just find a pick with Tinker and back off.
Yeah, that was a very easy and lucky kill that they got on the Darkseer. And the reason I say lucky is look at how much utility he's providing in terms of team. A mech, a pipe. The Scythe Advice on top of him right now was exactly the key. If you allow him to get those support items off, suddenly the team fight gets a lot more difficult, actually, especially with Vacuum and Wall on top of that. So great Scythe Advice on top. I do believe he is the target you want to go for every single time.
G gets called out. He's dropping low. He will get picked off. MUFC are turning this game around. They continue to blink forward, going for more and more kills. Well, they only get the TA, but again, you talked about this when they get kills. Now they start to get towers. Earlier they backed off, but now they're striking. They're feeling a little more confident. They've got the Hex up. They've got Ghost Scepters on. Everybody's really hard to kill now because you've got the Mantle on the anti-mages, the 3 Ghost Scepters, and then, well, you've got Nyx Assassin, who's just a pain if he gets Spike Carapace off in time. So they get a tower, and this is where that gold graft really starts to shift. Like you mentioned, it's just, these, it's basically like
deceptive lead.
It's like treasure chests, being waited to be opened at some point.
Yeah, I can hear that Zelda treasure chest music in my head right now. So knocking down these towers. Tier 2 is going to get brought down very, very shortly. And with Templar Assassin dead, they could actually try to be a little bit more aggressive. There's a teleport on the Clinkz as he is being spotted out by the gem. You can see these guys are still very aware of that Clinkz. They're pushing without a Sentry Ward, but they do have that gem on the Nyx Assassin. Still have not brought down Tier 2 yet, just playing it very, very safe. Again, there's no hurry. There's no need to actually play ultra aggressive. They have the late game really on lockdown. Looks like they're going to be popping a smoke and looking to pick off a couple more guys. If they could pick off a single hero right now, they could extend their push by that much longer. They could really take advantage of 4v5. And Brax, again, is the X factor. He's a target. They see 1437. He blinks right out, but he blinks into just about everybody. The wall gets dropped. 1437 pops his goal. He's still alive in the middle of everything. And look at how low everybody is on the Radiant team. Nature's Prophet doing a lot of right click against Brax, but not enough by himself. Templar Assassin with BKB picking up a couple kills, so a big dive, not really working out, and everybody's TPing out. There's just no disables. Nice. The Spike Carapace is going to slow down the Enchantress. Meanwhile, G going to work. The trap's going to miss. Meanwhile, jumping back and forth with telekinesis is going to bring him down. So good recovery here from LGD International, but I gotta say, Radiant's feeling really, really comfortable in the position right now.
Well, those were some big kills, but they turn around, they get the Rubik now, they blink forward, the Scythe device onto G, they want to find some more kills. Is that Manta style available? It is off cooldown. Why isn't he using it? He waits too long, loses all his health, and then pays with his own life. I gotta say, I might have just come off cooldown right when I clicked on him, but a bit slow on the fingers there. Certainly not showing that Ohaiyo level of control so far. Speaking of Ohaiyo, up to 4k gold. This is the one hero that has not died for them recently, and now I assume maybe a Shiva's at this point. That's going to be real annoying, especially for TA, and to a lesser extent the Clinkz, but mostly the TA. That Shiva's is very strong.
Yeah, Shiva's is going to be a good thing. I might even want to say Manta style if we want to pushing a little bit more, but look at the blink on the top lane. Again, the double gank action. There's nothing Brax to do about it. Still silence up. Multiple lasers, multiple rockets, Marching Machine on the bot lane. And suddenly, that was just a big statement. You can't farm anywhere without us having the possibility of double ganking you with perma-hex as well as disable, silence, everything.
She gets caught.
Here we go. G in big trouble, out of mana at this point, pops a BKB, and the chase is commencing. Are they going to go right in Ohaiyo with the Blink Dagger? Could be chasing with the Blink Dagger, with the Hex as well. He finds where there's a Cyber Visor. G is dead. My God, we talked about the chasing and killing power of LGD. It's the Blink Hexes now.
He's an absolute terror, and it's not just that he's finding these kills, but he's so safe about it. He blinks forward, he immediately goes Scepters, then he hexes. Like, even if there was a Clinkz waiting there with a Death Pact, with a DD rune, he's fine. He's just playing this so smart, but yet so active in the team fights. Now Anti-Mage has evasion. There's no MKB because Clinkz went for Daedalus, went for the better late game DPS item without evasion in question, but with it on the board now, well, you'd probably like to have that MKB. Now they get the tier 2 mid. Those sacks of money are being claimed, snapped up off the ground. And MUFC, I mean, let's be honest, right now they are coming back. They haven't won the game yet. They could still slip up, but it's turned into their game to lose. This is what, you know, we talked about as the potential of their lineup, but it seemed for a while like they weren't going to achieve that potential because they were just so far behind. But they've just shown admirable resilience. Still, pajkatt finding some openings. He has the BKB now. It does have the 10-second charge, and he finds a tier 2 mid. So all is not lost for LGD.int, but I feel like it comes down to Brax at this point. Like, if he hits a huge wall, then they win the fight. If he gets the pipe mech off, maybe they win the fight. But otherwise, I don't know how you do it.
Yeah, I mean, just in the river fight that we saw near the ancient camp on the dire side, that wall was doing a lot of damage, and we saw how powerful mech and pipe still is if you get all of them off. Brax was not focused in that team fight, and they won that one pretty big time. It really forced the Radiant team to run, you know, with tails between their legs, and they got to keep doing that. And it looks like they're going to secure the last Roshan for them. This is going to give the cheese as well. I think the cheese should definitely go on Brax. Maybe even give him the Aegis and give the cheese to one of the carrier, or maybe they'll just, you know, do a 1-2 split between the two highest damage dealers. Let's see how they divide this.
Well, this for me is the most important Roshan of the game. If they can't get something big accomplished with this, whether it's getting a couple of kills, forcing some buybacks, taking that last outer tier 2, ideally getting a set of racks, then I really think the game has slipped away from LGD. Sharky's getting close to a butterfly, and I mean, he's still not that big for an anti-mage, but you know, he's not the hard carry of this team. I find this a very interesting item from ohaiyo. He's gone for a Bloodstone, but it's a 41-minute Bloodstone. Now, the one nice thing about it, gives him a huge mana pool to work with and tons of regen, but more importantly, he's just going to be able to respawn a lot quicker. Oh, misery, these are the solo pickups they can't afford! And Lumi, they give up another. ohaiyo was there, but it was also Net starting that one off. Net has also been very... he didn't have the best start, but overall, he's been very annoying for this LGD team.
Again, what are you going to do? How are you going to ever farm? I don't think you can ever farm. pajkatt finds himself in Net and traps it. My god. And he does pick up his gem as well, so that's pretty big. Drops his own green Basilius. But the question is, how do you actually ever get farm against this team where there's two global, to say, TPs coming in from Tinker and Nature's Prophet, and in between them they have Permahex, they have Silence, and have a whole bunch of damage output. Nature's Prophet has a Demon Edge, so going for crits most likely, or maybe even just MKB. Either way, it's just completely fine as a damage output item. And that means, because when they're ganking you, that anti-mage is constantly farming his own jungle, so they really can't do anything. And to be honest, if somebody's out there asking why isn't LGD International pushing, they can't do that either, because Nature's Prophet and Tinker are just way more mobile. You know, you push my mid lane, I push all your other lanes easily.
Let's even say you kill one of them. Somehow you catch ohaiyo, you pick him off. Prophet's on the other side of the map, and Clinkz doesn't have boots of travel. TA doesn't have boots of travel. They don't have their outer towers. Just to walk there takes forever. pajkatt, the DD rune's about to wear off. Sharky blinks forward onto the creeps. He still has the Manta style. Oh, sorry, it's not cooling down. There's the silence. Oh, the evasion is saving his ass. pajkatt really wants that MKB now. Wow. And that's just a talisman. That's not even the full butterfly. Oh boy. This has got to be... It's not checkmate, but it's feeling like LGD is really backed into a corner.
You know that Talisman Evasion was really good? You know what would have been better?
What?
Ghost Scepter. I'm not even joking. When you said the Ghost Scepter, like a light bulb just lit on my head. Because, honestly, how awesome would it be to get Shotgun and then Idira Blade? Because that would just make my day.
Especially on this Enchantress with almost 1200 mana.
Sure, yeah, I mean...
Oh my god.
And she drains out mana very quickly with multiple uses of Impetus. I mean, it's not your everyday build, but I think if you want to get it, this is a game to get it on, right? Against so many physical right-clickers.
And you can always split up the Ethereal Blade later and build a butterfly. Yeah, it sounds silly, but when you actually think about it, it's... Yeah, you get the Ghost Scepter, which probably would have saved his ass in a couple of ganks, but... well, he's playing standard, Lumi. Sometimes Theorycraft is just... It's too good for these pros to use.
That's a tier 3 strat, as they say. I only show much later. Yeah, this Bloodstone. I think the more important thing you touch on was the fact that you respawn a lot sooner. That's like the most unique part about that Bloodstone that not many item could replicate. Another gank attempt on the bot lane here. Or was that a backdoor tower push?
Yep, he did force a couple of TPs. As the glyph is still up though. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this is like generally when I see a Clinkz playing like this, it's either he's so far ahead that he can just find towers whenever he wants, or it's like you don't know what else to do, so you try and backdoor.
Yep. He's trying to farm his way up to a what I imagine is a Cypher Vice. If anybody's wondering, yes, Eye of Scotty does actually work the slow and your fire arrow, which, you know, flavor-wise is a fail, but it does work together mechanically in the game. You can see that LGD is in a bit of trouble as they're just stalking him, but not going to get the kill there. I think, yeah, he really needs a Cypher Vice because when there's so many Ghost Scepter, as you pointed out, that is the only one item that will immediately get you a free kill. And when Clinkz is siphoning you, you are dead. Because there's a very lack of force staff on the Radiant.
Yeah, I think they need multiple hexes at this point. That's how you really punish this MUFC squad. Just hex that damn Tinker so he's not perma-spamming Ghost Scepter. You know, Enchantress went for the BKB and the Ags. That is more than enough money to buy a Scythe of Ice. It looks like Misery's going for her own, or his own. So LGD are going to have a couple. Still, they're not rearmable. They're not global. They could work out beautifully, but you've got to really, you know, nail them. You can't just, well, we screwed up. No big deal. We'll have that back in like 2 seconds at most. But it is really the key. Without these, I mean, you're not finding any kills. That's pretty clear at this point.
Right. The way I see it is that when the Radiant team is disabling LGD International, it takes them a while to actually get these kills. So damage output is not exactly on par with what LG's got. Whereas if LGD ever disables you, you're dead. So I feel like LGD has a lot more opportunity in teamfights to get their disables off, even though they don't have as many of them.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, they're not under any pressure because, you know, on the Radiant side, they're playing this game as, you know, we got the late game. And on paper they do, but when you're starting to see hexes on pajkatt, do you really got the late game?
Well, I think once Anti-Mage gets a heart, I see this getting a whole lot trickier. Sure, you've got tons of damage, but he's also butchering your heroes very quickly. You know, high mana pools on a lot of these heroes. Darkseer, Enchantress, Rubik. Even a hero like Clinkz, very mana-dependent, and I mean, in the mid-game, he feels almost unkillable with his, 2.5k HP, something like that with that level 3 Death Pact. He does start to trail off a little bit, and, you know, feels a little bit squishier as the game goes longer. And if anyone ever gets hex, Anti-Mage will kill them. So, I agree with you. Right now, LGD, they have the better kill potential, although they have less disables to work with. If they get one off, they get a kill. But if this goes much longer, I think the Anti-Mage, it's silly. We're almost 50 minutes in, and he's still not farmed enough to carry this, but he's getting pretty close to that point.
Again, he doesn't need to be, because Tinker, well, I don't blame him for not being farmed, because Tinker and Prophet is stealing all his creeps
Those
throughout
bastards.
the entire game. Yeah, he has finally seen some creeps, so, you know. But hey, they are in full control of this particular game. Misery is still about 2.9 away from his Cypher Vice. Clinkz is almost done with his, about 1,200, 1,300. Darkseer is up to 3,400, so if they could stack a whole bunch of Cypher Vice, they have a shot.
Well, G, yeah, I mean, they certainly have a data list on G now, so they certainly have the damage. You say Clinkz is having his farm stolen. He is up to 320. So yes, I think one of the other issues is, well, he's 5-5 and 5. He's died a lot. I think we've seen him buy back a few times. It's hard to farm a little bit. Game is, pajkatt, that's not where you want to be. He gets Shiva's up. Here comes the chain stun. Here comes the burst damage. He's got the cheese. No cheese for you, sir.
That's gonna be a brax, I imagine, right? Unless Clinkz buys it back.
Well, he's got buyback, so at least they can force it out. But it looks like they're so patient with this game. It's very Chinese.
They got the late game on lockdown. I still believe that Cypher Vice is the only way of comeback, and they're making it a little bit of dangerous for themselves. But here you go, they're starting to look at that tier 2 on the top lane, and this is where, you know, Prophet gets a lot better. Where Tinker gets a lot better, where you can push multiple lanes as well. There's a buyback, teleport, in vacuum wall, everything you want to start off a team fight, but they just don't have them to go through that Ghost Scepter. SS trying to TP out, he's dead instantly, and that's exactly what we talked about, the damage output. And the Radiant team's on the run. If you ever get to disable...
Meanwhile, in middle lane, Sharky is Raxing him. He's got creeps in the base. This should be our first lane of Rex. Maybe not, though. Sharky gets thrown up in the air. Look at the damage. He wants the Rex. Oh, he should have just ran away. He got a little greedy. He got a little impatient. He buys back immediately. So double buybacks. One from each, probably the main carries at this point. The Anti-Mage and the Clinkz both forced to buy back. Still have the cheese up on the Clinkz. But even when LGD find that kill on the Prophet on the Anti-Mage, they're not leaving their base.
Yeah. They're not. They can't. Not against a Tinker nor a Nature Prophet. They didn't get away there because they didn't have. Oh, Blink Hex here against Misery. Misery's dead as well, man. Net has been such a good +1. You know, it's Tinker and Nature Prophet that's really stealing. Oh, Net is on the run. Net juking back and forth. Twin-Head Dragon also has a Blink Dagger in his own right here, blinking up on the high ground.
Oh!
Now blinks into a whole bunch of people right now. pajkatt down to about half HP. The Sprout actually hurting himself, but with 2 people that blink forward here from Ohio, BKB still on pajkatt. He's gonna be safe, and this Brax on the mid lane, man, it is just 1 blink away from Anti-Mage's Manta, and they're gonna bring him down. Reaver gets picked up on Anti-Mage, so he is really tank at this point. We're gonna see at least 2-3 lanes as a Brax being taken up. You can see the Anti-Mage blinks forward, gonna get that melee Brax so very easily. Now they're gonna focus on the bot, or perhaps even start working on the top as well.
Wow, this was just some epic control in these fights, and like you said, Net, perhaps the unsung hero of this game. He certainly was the sung hero in their previous match. They get 2 lanes of Rex, they have a Prophet, they have a Tinker, they've got probably the bigger late game carries. Sharky is just not even caring about G's auto text because they're not connecting, and now he turns around, G just melts and gets exploded by the ult. Oh man. Wow, what an incredible performance from MUFC. I mean, I'm rooting for this LGD International squad to be absolutely amazing, but they just got outclassed in this game, and you know, they had such a big lead. A couple of the ganks failed early on, but mostly it just comes down to great play and teamwork from MUFC. Really impressive, and this was with LGD International playing a great early to mid game.
Yeah, I mean, they had a little bit of hiccup in terms of early games. The Enchantress didn't really do too much, but their pajkatt recovery on that Clinkz was just marvelous to watch. Really playing the hero as it meant to be played, but they couldn't get the push going against, not against Tinker and Nature's Prophet, and as such, they got picked off so many times. How many single person pick off have we seen? A lot higher than any other pro game. So I do believe that that's something that they need to work on. We saw Enchantress got picked off numerous times, G got picked off many times. They should be the one that's on the aggressive, but MUFC is finding that opening, and to be honest, that's what won the game for them, at least to me.
Just great play all around from MUFC, and I mean, how many teams? They were down a lot. pajkatt was just on a rampage.
7,500 gold.
He had a 10-minute Orchid. I mean, a lot of casters, a lot of players would say, "Oh, that's game. You can't give Clinkz an Orchid that fast." How many times have we seen Funnet get an Orchid around that time, or even a little bit later? And there's just no chance for the enemy team. But MUFC, the item selections were perfect. The early Ghost Scepters, you know, Prophet constantly. Getting the early Orchid actually worked out beautifully. He never even got to sight the Vice in a 52-minute game, but he created some openings for his team. He spread the map, and MUFC pull one out of the hat, take this game #1. They are in the winner bracket finals right now, fighting against LGD. This, of course, is a best out of 3. I'm LD, and he is Luminous. We're David and David. If you enjoy Luminous's casting, if you want to hear more from him, be sure to follow him, twitter.com/luminousinverse. As for me, twitter.com/ldDOTA. All the VODs will be available on our YouTube channels. We'll let you know more about those details later. But thanks for tuning in, guys. Stay tuned. This is a best out of 3. This was only game #1, and game 2 should be coming up in just a few moments. For now, that's going to be it. We'll see you on the other side.